Sports has been around for centuries and has not yet been changed, up until recently when having to consider trans men and women. Is there an unfair advantage? Should transgender women be banned from competing in female categories? Should there be a separate category established? Or should sports be more inclusive? This debate has gone on for far enough. Transgender men and women should not be allowed to participate in sports that they identify as. In the world of sports, men and women have always shared the same sports in one way or another, but never competed against the opposite genders. It's always been towards same gender competitions. This has been the rules for several reasons, such as having an unfair advantage point. And on Twitter, a high school volleyball player by the name of Peyton McNabb posted 1 week after getting hurt in a game by a transgender player on the opposing team, stating, "I really don't think that girls will want to play. The fear of what happened to me happening to them, I feel that will definitely stop some girls and women from participating in sports if this continued to be allowed." When she mentions this to continue, she was injured by a transgender woman in high school. Transgender is the definition is denoting or relating to a person whose gender identity does not correspond with the sex registered for them at birth. So, a transgender woman is actually biologically a male, or a transgender male is biologically a woman at birth. Now, in the year 2021, transgender men and women joining sports started to raise some questions about fairness and what guidelines were to be put in place, if any. The House later approves trans athlete bans for women and girls teams in 2023. Now, currently, as of 2023, transgender women and men are fighting for their rights to play in sports. While some agree with the ban, others, such as WB, World Boxing, companies make room for a separate weigh-in for transgender athletes. Now, having transgender men and women compete against their claimed gender in sports is concerning to all whom have children or are in school, kindergarten through 12th, or even college students. This type of competition can be degrading as well as physically harmful. After doing extensive research on the topic, my consensus is as follows. Transgender men and women should not be allowed to play in sports against others in their claimed identity. I do believe that to solve their issue of not being allowed to play in desired gender groups, that there should be an additional 2 groups for sports, such as transgender girls sports or transgender boy sports. Now, others may say that transgender people have the right to play sports without stating whether they are a female or a male. They will argue that they should be treated equally, the same way a straight female or a male should be treated in any sport they participate in. In an article posted on ACLU.org by Chase and Gabriel, they presented myths about transgender athletes. One of those myths, which it was based on that of equal footing, stating that denying trans people the right to participate is discrimination, and it doesn't hurt trans people, it hurts all of us. When they mention all of us, they are considering the whole entire LGBTQ plus community. Even though that this statement is true to the fact of yes, it is considered discrimination. There's no denying it. The reality of transgender athletes participating in the same sports as what they claim to be is dangerous, not only for them, but for those who actually, by birth, a female and a male. Transgender athletes joining sports is genetically appalling, considering locker space or locker rooms, private areas, as well as a female or male unfair disadvantage points, physically and mentally. And lastly, any transgender athletics joining sports is already prohibited in the grade levels kindergarten through 12th, as well as some college sports. Now, genetical issues regarding personal space of team members in any given sport is an issue. On February 9, 2023, a news article came to the surface of 12-time All-American and 5-time SEC champion Riley Gaines, pleading for NCAA to make separate locker rooms for transgender men and women. Gaines was speaking on an incident that recently happened in a locker room, and the incident was how she was exposed to male genitalia. Gaines stated in an interview, "We were not forewarned beforehand that we would be sharing a locker room with Leah, the transgender woman. We did not give our consent. They did not ask for our consent. But in that locker room, we turned around and there was a 6'4" biological man dropping his pants and watching us undress, and we were exposed to male genitalia." Not only is this an uncomfortable situation for biologically speaking, but it also renders the cisgender speechless when put into these types of situations, making cisgender uncomfortable enough to change an environment that is allegedly meant to be considered a safe and private place. Another issue with transgender women and men joining sports is the disadvantage point mentally and physically. In a CNN article posted on March 24, 2023, the President Sebastian Coe speaks for world athletes, stating, "Transgender women, biologically male, retain to an advantage in muscle mass, volume, and strength over cisgender women." They state that after 12 months of gender-affirming hormone therapy, while acknowledging that there is limited existing experimental data on the matter. So they're not stating that this is 100% true. They're more of still taking in scientific studies. So later on, in another statement given by WA, requiring transgender athletes to maintain their testosterone levels below 2.5 nanograms for 24 months to be eligible to compete internationally in the female category. When thinking of the biological average adult female body, ages 19 and older, this female body would have around about 15 to 70 nanograms of deciliter in their testosterone in their blood, whereas the adult average of a adult male would have 265 to 923 nanograms, which is scientifically proven to help strengthen muscles and bones. So this is considered to be an advantage, and scientifically proven that men are stronger than women because of their testosterone levels. And without gaining control of it or going through hormone level changes, they won't be able to participate in any given sport without that. Now, ban for transgender athletes is already underway. An article in the New York Times was posted on April 20th, 2023 by Ann Carney, gathering any and all details concerning the bill that was just passed by the House to ban transgender athletes from female sports teams. Representative John W. Rose, Republican of Tennessee, said that the issue was straightforward. Biological males ought to compete against biological males, and biological females ought to compete against biological females. He said most Tennesseans considered this to be common sense. Now, this bill was put into place to ensure the safety of girls and women at birth, a safe way to participate in a safe sport without the second thought of risking to play. On April 28th, 2023, a show called The Megyn Kelly Show. A segment was recorded on live television of a high school volleyball player, Peyton McNabb, which we spoke of earlier, who decided to speak out about being injured by a trans athlete. Stated that the player spiked the ball so hard in her face that she had suffered a concussion, impaired vision, and partial paralysis and headaches. Having transgender women and men in the same gender they decide to choose is dangerous, not only for everyone, but is completely unfair and leading those to a certain disadvantage. And more than likely will hurt others in the process of them choosing which they decide to play in, which side to be on. So to that I say, to be equally compared is to play equally against each other. And that's why I believe that transgender women and men should not be allowed to play in the gender that they claim to be.